Marine.htm. Thank you.
So I was just saying, that is not a point of order. It's a decision for the committee. The committee is making a decision. I always appreciate it. So coming back, so Mr. Buck, before we move on to the points of order, you've been given 30 minutes. That's exceptional for the committee, so I don't want future witnesses to consider it a precedent, but we think it's really important for you to be allowed to give your version of events. Members of this committee that I will tell the truth. Thank you for having me here today. I would like to acknowledge that we are on the ancestral land of the Algonquin people. I am not here to quarrel with the former Attorney General or to say a single negative word about her personally. What I am here to do is to give evidence that what happened last fall is in fact very different from the version of events you heard last week. It is based on direct communications with the former Attorney General and her staff, contemporaneous notes I took in meetings I attended personally, and debriefs from people who attended meetings I did not. I want to make 3 important points. First, everyone working on this file knew that the decision to direct the DPP to enter into negotiations toward a remediation agreement was the Attorney General's and the Attorney General alone. We also knew
26,026. NASDAQ was up 62 at 7,595. The S&P up 19 at 2,803. Let's see. I did see a headline earlier today that, maybe they're going to begin limiting buybacks. There was a White House economist, I'm not sure if that was Kudlow or not, but they might be limiting buybacks. Well, we'd see, what would happen in there. But we did have a nice bump in the 10-year yield, 2.76%, up 0.04. So that's been rising. Remember, David, which is 2.6, Friday a week ago. So, that's up quite a bit for a week. As we come to the floor, just before we come in, I will want you to it is a strange truth.
a la cosa esa, la inconstitución esta, las opiniones le van a demostrar que cambiar el cerebro de la gente es difícil. Estos demonios no solo destruyeron a Cuba materialmente, sino y sobre todo acabaron con los valores espirituales y morales del cubano. Pero también saben que el pueblo no los quiere, que tuvieron que hacer un gran fraude con la farsa de la Constitución que la mayoría del pueblo rechazó. Saben que la gente se va envalentonando poco a poco y que el fin de esta dictadura llegará más temprano que tarde con la ayuda del Todopoderoso. Un abrazo para todos. Teresa. Nos envían también, nos envía Félix Navarro un resumen de lo que sucedió el fin de semana. En Cárdenas, por ejemplo, Odalis Hernández y Leticia Ramos Heredia fueron arrestadas desde las 7 de la mañana por el equipo represor perteneciente. Señora, que soy un peligro real, un ladrón con muchas mañas y un depredador rapaz, y que siempre se descuida a la primera ocasión.
Training all kinds of terrorist groups and allowing their fighters to come across and target Indian targets, then Kashmir would normalize, right? So these are positions that cannot be reconciled. What has changed over here, and this is really the heart of what's happening right now, is that India under Narendra Modi, for various reasons, feels that the old Indian approach, which essentially showed a measure of restraint after one of these attacks, that has not worked, and that India will now up the tempo in retaliation. That is what is dramatically different, where you have India well, it's cumulative. The most recent is obviously the attack on February 14th in Pulwama, but there's a long history, right, including the Mumbai attacks and an attack on Indian Parliament.
In 2008.
Right. So now what you have is India, which is attempting to draw red lines. And you have Pakistan, which is reacting. It's not entirely clear whether the red lines that India is trying to draw have been successfully drawn. So there is this room for miscalculation on both sides, and that is what leads to the possibility of escalation. Do I think India was wrong in retaliating as it did? No. I think that was fine. But I do think that both sides, you need responsible people on both sides to look into this. And I think that if Pakistan does indeed crack down on these groups, which it's promised to do many times over the past 2 decades, if it is for real, then I think that will be one useful step towards defusing this.
James, I want to turn to you because basically the world kind of took a collective sigh this weekend when the pilot was returned and everybody thought, we've stepped back from the precipice. But you have an article out today in Foreign Policy, and you say, let's not jump to conclusions just yet. You have some very real concerns moving forward.
Yeah, I think they build exactly on what Adnan was just saying. The point here is not whether India was right or wrong to retaliate. I think they're well within their rights to proportionally retaliate against the largest casualty attack in Kashmir in 3 decades. The point is that on all sides of this, on the part of the terrorists that conducted the attack, on the part of India, who for the first time since 1971 conducted airstrikes into Pakistan, and on the part of Pakistan, which retaliated again across the line of control into India, the level of violence is increased, and that should concern all of us. And that continues.
For the first time, while watching the former Attorney General's testimony, that she had made a final decision on the 16th of September. My understanding is that nobody in the PMO or PCO knew that at that time either. In fact, it is not, to my knowledge, abnormal. My understanding, which was informed by the...
And dividends, farm proprietors, and interest income. Wages increased 0.3% in January after rising 0.5% in December. So you had a lot of, you had economists that were polled by Reuters. They had forecast incomes rising 0.3% in January, but the Commerce Department didn't publish the January consumer spending portion of the report. And
you understand why we have to have it. Todo eso nos une y que hay un cabezado un día linterna que un día le dio por decir que nosotros éramos ex-cubanos. Ahora, supuestamente la gente que está al frente de ese país debe ser ejemplo, debe ser un paradigma de lo que deben ser, de verdad, la gente que te guía, la gente que te lleva por un camino especial. Ahora, ¿qué pasa cuando ni siquiera tus hijos quieren seguir esa idea tuya que tú intentas imponer, que intentas cuadrar la caja?
Pakistan have a weak case for a weak cause when it comes to Kashmir. Both of these countries have actually, at various times just had this existential obsession with territory of Kashmir. Now, in a sense, it's understandable because decolonization and the events of the partition and its aftermath has meant that the idea of the
At the tone, 15 hours, 19 minutes, Coordinated Universal Time.